inspire, empower, grab your girls and soar a little higher. Unlock the fire in you, cause real women don't bitch, no. Real women don't, 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 real women don't bitch.
Hey, thank you for joining me on the Real Women Don't Bitch podcast. This is your proud host, August Crenshaw, aka Mrs. Raw, Real, and Relentless. I am the #1 advanced mental conditioning specialist for entrepreneurs because building mental muscle is necessary in order to implement successful business strategies. This show has been created for the woman who is not excuse-driven and needs help building a profitable business. I will be interviewing women from various fields who are willing to break the silence on struggles that specifically affect female entrepreneurs. Welcome to a show where I and guest speakers from time to time share our methods that help us beast our business no matter what is going on in our lives. Whether you are an online or brick and mortar business owner, this show is for you. We will hit every angle, personal, professional, and spiritual. Why? Because on any given day, you get hit with shit from a scenario involving one, more, or perhaps all of the above. It all impacts you and your mindset towards your business. I have made it my personal mission to provide a space where we dive deep into the BS we face on a day-to-day basis. Hola, damas. Yes. Welcome back to another episode of the Real Women Don't Bitch podcast. We are in season 3. And it is going down the way you guys are responding to some of these podcast episodes. Yes, there's some conviction out there to get it done. That's what I want more than anything. I want to see more ladies getting it done. In today's topic, when I say the title, or if you've already read it, you're like, oh, this must be something about how many clients have I sold something to, blah, blah, blah. Not exactly. We're switching it. And then you may be thinking, oh, this is something about taxes because it's at the top of the year. Nope, it's not that either. Know your numbers. We hear those expressions on a regular basis if we roll in the circles of entrepreneurs who are doing it. But I don't want to talk about just knowing how many hours you're working versus how much you're charging. I don't want to just know how much money you need to have coming in order for you to sustain or to thrive in your life. I want to talk about a different set of numbers. Let's use this for example, networking events. I remember when I moved to Atlanta, I was like, hey, after the weather breaks, I'm going on as many networking events as possible. And it's amazing what you put into the atmosphere, right? Because shortly after, guess what happened? I started getting people hitting me in my inbox. Hey, we're having this in Atlanta. You want to come? You want to come? You want to come? In addition to the networking events that my husband and I were looking up for me to attend. Well, when people were reaching out to me, I was like, this is like really random. You know, they could have picked anybody else, but they said, hey, we're inviting you. And I went to these different events. Now, two of the events in particular, I met one woman that I felt like I really, really connected with and at one event. And another event, I ran into another woman that I was like, oh, no, actually it was two. I was like, oh, my God, I'm really connecting with these people. Now, of course, because I've always got my business hat on, I'm wondering, is there something I'm going to need while I'm at these events, or is someone, going to need me for my services? But I just go in a very relaxed fashion and say, hey, I'm going to mix, I'm going to mingle and let what's going to be. Well, one of the ladies at the event that I went to, that actually was a 2-hour drive away. Okay. That's, I was like, I'm invited to a networking event. I'm in Atlanta and it was in Augusta. So that was funny. But I just went anyway. And some of you guys, you need to do that. You need to just freaking go anyway. You got all these stipulations. And, sometimes you just need to break the mold from what you're doing. Well, one of the ladies that was at that networking event happened to notice my videos on Facebook and was kind of chiming in. And about 2 weeks later, I released my book, The Only Sales Conversation That Closes. She purchased that book from me. And I was like, okay, well, once you purchase the book, if for those that pre-order, you went through a funnel. And I'm like, hey, when you get the opportunity to join the Close the Sales group. Well, one of the women that happened to buy the book, that one in particular, from the event, not only did she decide to join the group, she was like, okay, well, how do I pay in full? Well, the next month, I went to another networking event that I happened to have been invited to. Now, I went to other ones too, but I'm bringing these two up in particular, and I'm stretching them out because they were at different times of the year. They were back to back in each month. Well, the one where I met two women that I connected with, one of them, she also got the book and she also joined the group. Now she paid month to month, but nevertheless she got the book and she paid for that. And she's been with me for maybe like 3 months. Okay. Well, now all of a sudden I've talked to another woman who happened to be at that event, who was watching my videos, who there was like this really good connection, but there was no conversation afterwards. Well, now that we've talked, and of course, it's not official until it's done. But for those of you that, are very effective in selling and you've got your stuff set up right, you know what you're doing, she'll be signing up for the group shortly from the time frame that I'm making this podcast. And there you go. Now, imagine going to a networking event or several networking events every month. And one of those events turned you out a client who's on a subscription service payment from you. Oh, wow. Are networking events worth going to? Are you really looking at what's happening with your life and your business, or are you looking at what is not happening with your life and business? Because if you're like, oh, well, what about all those other events that I went to that month? And, I just got all these cards with these people that I more than likely am never going to talk to again. You know what I'm saying? Or I forgot who it was and which point I said I would remember when I saw this card, but I don't. Well, if once a month, especially if you have a decent subscription service, a 6-month package or something where you're going to have someone investing with you for an extended period of time, what would your business look like if you do this in January and by February you snag a client, and then by March, you keep going every month, and by March you snag a client. And if you got one client every single month that was willing to stick with you for about 6 months to a year, look at the stability that you are putting within your business, and then think about the residue. 2 or 3 months later, somebody else that you've met from those events that have been following you says, oh, well, I'm coming in too. And so it ends up being not an average of one, but, maybe every other month, one person signs up, maybe another 3 people 1 month. Maybe you start getting an average of 2. By the time you look at the measurements all the way through the end of the year, just from attending networking events, how many clients did you get? Is that something that's working for you? And if it isn't, then maybe you need to change the type of event. Maybe you need to change the time. Maybe there's something you need to tighten up with your product or service. But I just want you guys to know your numbers. You should always be analyzing your business. Know everything about your numbers inside out, not just the dollar amount of this goal that you spoke into existence or you went after and like really truly made that stuff. Pay attention to what's happening with you guys. If you fill out, 5 applications and you do this every other couple of months and you usually get 1 response, and then maybe the next time around you get 1 offer, it may seem like, oh my God, but I sent out 10 and 8 people, didn't respond at all. And of the 2, 1 that did respond, only 1 hired me. But are you looking at the progression? And if you don't like what you're seeing because you want more, then we won't even get into that topic right now. Do more. But just make charts, you guys. Make places where you can reference your progression and see how you have grown so that you're more encouraged to continue doing what you're doing. Because what happens with a lot of people, when you get ready to go into the next year and you're running your business, you spend a tad bit too much time being introspective. You'll be like, okay, let me relook at 2018 and what worked and, what didn't work. And now I got to sit here and think about, what am I going to do now for 2019? And it's like, well, first of all, you should have already been rolling from 18 into 19. Once again, we're not going to get into all of that. But the point isn't to say, I got to figure out something new. I got to do something different. Stick to what's working and tweak as you go and make immediate, quick decisions. Be decisive to change whatever isn't working that you've been doing in order for you to begin to progress more. So what are you doing? Whether it's your email list, it's networking events, it's whatever. Maybe you solicit people in churches that you go to, whatever. How many parties are you throwing or hosting or live events, whatever. Look at the numbers and see what's really coming from that and say, wow, if I turned up the heat on what I'm doing and this is a consistent turnout, a consistent result from my execution, then maybe I ought to keep doing that. Okay, that's words of wisdom for you. Look, some of you, I know that absorbing the podcast isn't necessarily always the easiest thing to do, but I just want you to know it doesn't make a difference where you follow me on social media. I'm going to give you a shit ton of value. Whether you go follow me on IG or I'm on all of them, but I'm not on all of them. I'm on the key ones that most of you know, YouTube, IG, LinkedIn, Facebook, those. Hey, I got a Pinterest too, but I hardly do anything with it. LOL. But no, seriously, all stuff aside, keep getting your dose of information that you need in order to help get your mind right and to remind you of how you're supposed to execute and to make sure you're also taking the time to restore yourself so that you can be able to thrive in business. And also don't forget, head over to the website and get your free gift. Go to augustcrenshaw.com. There is a free sales webinar where I'm giving away some jewels, some for real jewels in a webinar that is less than 1 hour. And if you were pretty good with sales, it might be the only thing that you needed. Okay? I'm going to let you guys get out of here until the next episode. Deuces.
Thank you for joining me today. Remember to cultivate a mindset that is biased towards taking action. No bitching, whining, or complaining. Here, our mantra is, real women don't bitch, we get shit done. See you next week as I continue to bring you what you need to keep your head in the game and beast your business. Don't forget to hit subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. Would you like a specific topic covered? Have a question you would like answered live? Then head on over to realwomendon'tbitchpodcast.com. Subscribe to my email list, hit me up, and I got you. Interested in being a guest speaker? You walk the walk? Then you can sign up on the website too. This is your #1 advanced mental conditioning specialist for entrepreneurs, Mrs. Raw, Real, and Relentless. Signing out. Deuces.
Inspire, empower, grab your girls and soar a little higher. Unlock the fire in